in Central Virginia, 67 degrees. As the southpaw kicks his leg and delivers the game's first pitch. We are underway in Charlottesville. Just the kind of weather you expect this time of year here, right? To get a series underway.
I thought it was going to be a lot warmer today, and it just never warmed up.
Supposed to be that tomorrow and the rest of the weekend. The good news is the potential rain that was in the forecast at one point has stayed away, and we're told for the most part having worked its way through the area. So skies that have prepared us for baseball. Younger, the Wofford College transfer, now at the lead spot for this program, and he brings an impressive .378 average into his first at bat of the day.
Been a key catalyst at the top of the lineup for the Jacket offense.
Swings through the 2-1, that leaving things 2-2. Change of pace, 79 as he pulled the string.
There's that changeup right there. It's an extremely effective pitch. He has the Vulcan grip. We may get into it later.
Block goes 2-2, grounded right side. And Henry Ford going to wave everybody off. Mentioned he missed time in the midweek. He's back in the lineup now. He's among the headliners because you're talking about the two standout freshmen. Well, here comes the other. First opportunity for Drew Burress as he gets ready to stand in.
It's interesting right there. If you look at that sequence, it was changeup and then fastball in. We'll see what Blanco's trying to do with these Georgia Tech hitters if he's going to crowd them late because they have such a good two-strike approach.
Went for 2-0 and gets the ground out, and he starts Drew Burress with a strike. Of course, Georgia native. The other thing that those two have in common, you saw Ford make the play there. You look at Burress at the plate now. From Georgia in those Georgia Tech colors. From Virginia in those UVA uniforms. They are keeping the prime talent close to home. It's difference making for these programs.
And two great states for baseball. I mean, Virginia is one of the best states for baseball, and Georgia is, it's like going to a gold mine down there in Atlanta for baseball.
Just sift through it, find those diamonds among all the talent there. There's a called strike by home plate umpire Brian Miller. It is Brian Miller behind the plate, Matthew Schaefer at first base, John Byrne at second base, and Steve Sanders, our third base umpire. That's the crew for game one of the series. And he will pull back that fist with a called strike 3. It is to Brian Miller's liking, and it is the first punch out for Evan Blanco.
91-mile-an-hour fastball down in the strike zone. I mean, just too good a pitch to take right there for Drew Burress. He knows it. It's just, you know, when you're throwing that Vulcan changeup and it takes so much speed off, you have to respect it. You can just sneak some fastballs by those hitters.
First battle with the freshman won by the second year. He leads a talented crop of second years to the charge for Virginia, does Blanco. And let's talk about how he uses what is in the arsenal.
Well, there it is right there. Lots of fastballs. He'll ride and go in, and then his off-speed secondary pitch is a changeup, occasional slider.
Woburn, Massachusetts native who has settled in to this Friday night role. The only Cavalier on the staff with 9 weekend starts. When you think about talking about him in terms of consistency, it's not just that he's led a consistent group. He has been the consistent piece for UVA.
He's thrown a lot more strikes in the strike zone. He's executed with his fastball. His fastball execution has been fantastic. That's what's got him deep into games, and that changeup, it's been impressive.
Back-to-back quality starts against North Carolina, at the time 10th in the country when Virginia was last here at home, and then of course on the road at Louisville. In fact, he has half the quality starts, 2 of the 4 for the staff this year. And his 2-2 fouled off by Matthew Ellis. Boy, he's an imposing figure in the batter's box, isn't he, Ellis?
He has a lot of pop, man. I was down there during batting practice today. He's hitting some balls out of this place, and it's not carrying as well today as it did a few weeks ago when we were in town, partner.
Well, he had a really good weekend. The numbers will wow you, and 7 RBIs with a couple of home runs launched for the Yellow Jackets in that successful series against Virginia Tech. Uses patience here, and that's one of the storylines when you watch this Georgia Tech attack. When you look at the Yellow Jackets offensively, they are intentionally patient and will use the free pass to their advantage.
They will take their walk. They will take on 0-0. We'll look at a graphic later on that. They just try to get deep in the count. They run a full offense for sure. It's not just swing the bat at anything. They have a plan up there.
7-pitch AB for Ellis as he works his way aboard, extends the inning against Blanco. Saving a bat for Cam Jones.
You talk about approach. Ellis has an excellent approach at the plate, even though he hits for a lot of power.
Jones takes a pitch. This is going to be a called strike. Just caught the inside corner.
That's the pitch he wants all day. If he can get that pitch in on right-handed hitters, gonna have a good opportunity to be successful. Cam Jones, a great athlete. Two-way player, going to be the starter tomorrow for the Jackets.
Puts this in the air. Center fielder Didovic ranges over, and he will call him.
They have a lot of trust in this young man.
First delivery is to Griff O'Farrell, the leadoff man for Virginia. He takes a look at a called strike. O'Farrell, of course, just down the road in Richmond. And among the catalysts and the leaders for this squad, O'Farrell, came into the year highly decorated, and for all the talk about freshmen, you need that experience, you need that seniority that a guy like Griff O'Farrell provides.
O'Farrell is one of the top shortstops in the country for sure, no doubt about it. Team USA shortstop, going to be a high draft pick eventually, and boy, he's just tough. You know, he just gives you a tough at bat. All-time season single hits leader in this program, which has been around for almost 100 years.
More than that.
More than 100 years. What am I saying?
Takes a swing and a miss here to retire O'Farrell. 90 on the speed check, and it begins nicely for Vinatieri.
I'm shocked right there that he chased outside the strike zone. I've seen O'Farrell play a lot. He rarely chases outside of the strike zone, especially at the beginning of the game right there. Interesting.
As good a two-strike hitter as you're going to find, and he is retired quickly by Vinatieri. Here's Whalen. He gets the start in right field. The absence of Salke now. Whalen, since coming over as one of the key transfers out of the portal that UVA picked up this offseason, has been one of those guys that Coach O'Connor's had to find a way to keep him in the lineup somewhere. A little easier tonight when you've got a guy that's a little banged up and you find a spot. But Whalen has played some center, has spent some time in left. They've used him a variety of different places just to make sure they have his bat in the ninth.
Outstanding athlete. And you talk about his bat. His bat is excellent. But boy, he can play some center field, left field, wherever you put him. He's outstanding in the defensive side as well.
Solid midweek for Whalen, and it raised his average back up above 400. Right at it on the season. Guy who has one of the top 5 batting averages in the ACC.
Pretty awesome plug and play transfer right there. Great pickup for Coach O'Connor.
Think about those transfers. Whalen, what Ferentz has meant behind the plate, who you'll see in the 6 hole today. And the way he has handled the pitching staff as well defensively. It's a Virginia team that the last several years doing a very nice job filling those gaps left by the draft and otherwise. Here's a called third strike. Whalen wasn't so sure as he turned and gave a glance, but he's the second out of the inning. And this is how the game starts. A couple of strikeouts.
Took a lot off that pitch. Just as a changeup, obviously. And it was 70 miles an hour off of throwing 91, 92, which actually looks like 93, 94. So they froze him on the speed change right there.
Saw the 3-pitch mix and the usage for Vinatieri. This is hit well by Anderson. It's going to be over the head of the left fielder. And Virginia's doubles machine got to coast down there one more time. Ethan Anderson notching his 14th double of the season. Everything now set up nicely.
See the Jackets probably trying to pitch around him a little bit, but you never know. You pick your poison in this situation.
Lines this right off the first baseman's glove, and by the time it's gathered up, everybody's safe. They are on the corners after Ford puts it in play.
Wow, that saved a run right there, though. That's big, huge, because that gets through. It's a 1-0 game.
Anderson around at third.
This is a really nice play. He's playing way off the line. Look at how far over he is. He's almost playing second base. Had him played almost perfectly. Knocked it down. Prevented the run, really, which is great.
Hit well enough by Ford that it was ruled a hit. And here is Didowick, who entered the week the offensive leader in so many of the key categories for UVA. You talk about what Anderson is doing as he begins to emerge. You look at what Ford can do, simply putting into the play there and notching his latest hit. Yet Didowick has the more impressive of the numbers. It's his home run total at 15.
He's really stepped up this year. His power's improved. He's hitting for power at all fields. He's gotten in the weight room this winter and really got stronger. Talked to Oak about that. I mean, it's just another, evolution of development here, which they do such a good job of.
Already a 50 RBI man is the Virginia center fielder.
And you're talking about one of the best offenses in the country. And he's right at the top of it.
Up in a chance to improve upon that total of 50 RBIs on the year right here. He's got Anderson 90 feet away. But waves out in front of this, and how about that? Around a couple of knocks, Vinatieri, who only threw 3
again to get back in the race.
And Virginia knocking on the door of the Coastal Division lead once again. North Carolina having created some separation. The Cavaliers trying to use this weekend to close right back up on their heels. Boy, what can you say about the 2 weekends these teams are coming off here, Coach? Georgia Tech handling a Virginia Tech team that came in highly regarded, had the number beside their name as they rolled into Atlanta. And you know what Louisville has been in recent years in the ACC. And Virginia in many ways made it look easy. 47 runs scored in taking care of business completely on the road.
I mean, both programs coming off arguably their best weekends in the league against top opponents. Virginia Tech was 16th in the country before that series.
Who can carry that momentum forward? That's really the question on this Friday night. Giesler at the plate. 2-2 count coming his direction, and he will just get a piece of it. You believe in many ways Giesler's the key in this lineup right now?
I do. He was injured for a while out of this lineup. Getting him back really lengthens the Georgia Tech lineup. It's a huge addition to their lineup, and if he can really swing it for the Jackets, it's a big boost to their program.
The 2-2 from Blanco, his direction, and it is grounded to third. Hansen up with it, 5-3 put out. That's how the inning gets started. You think about Blanco, for all the talk about offense last weekend on the road in Louisville, he established a new career high, 11 strikeouts, the most by a Cavalier pitcher at any point this season. So Blanco trying also to build upon some success last weekend.
Really like this kid. I mean, he's super aggressive, very competitive from the left side. That's a bonus when he's left-handed doing that. It neutralizes those good left-handed hitters also, on the other side. So, yeah, he's really stepping up in his sophomore season.
If you weren't with that Louisville series, weren't paying attention to it last weekend, gave up a leadoff home run in the first inning. That was the tone setter. Retired 14 of the next 15 en route to settling in for what would be a key Friday night for Virginia. 1-1 coming to Peyton Green. Different start here so far, as really had his way atop the mound. He's trying to be a little more consistent in terms of something you talk a lot about, pounding the zone. And we'll see this fouled first base side here. But Blanco, when you're trying to find some answers pitching staff wise, and both of these teams are, the consistency that a guy like Blanco can provide, boy, it covers a multitude of challenges in that vein.
It's huge. And you and I were talking earlier, around the country, a lot of people are trying to figure out their pitching staff still at this late juncture in the year. It's really interesting. Really, like you and I were like kind of baffled by that, right? You're seeing openers on Friday night in the SEC, the ACC, all over the country.
You got the Hogs. And then it's kind of everybody else. And yeah, we've seen in the ACC Chase Burns kind of reemerge and be Chase Burns for this Wake Forest staff that is trying to put it together. But, you know, you talk to folks around the country, everybody looks at Arkansas and says, well, Arkansas is kind of on a tier of their own because almost everybody else nationally is looking for consistency from their arms.
Right. I mean, you're looking at like a program like Tennessee, had them a couple weeks ago. They're using 2 openers on the weekend.
It's amazing. Well, you want to make a deep postseason run, that's where it starts. Answer that question, who's going to handle that piece of business. This in the air to center. Lefty's first delivery to Carson Kearse, and he starts him with a strike. A couple of full counts. Able to work his way around the initial couple of batters in this second inning. And he gets another fly ball. This is in Didowick territory. He'll chase it down. How about a nice and tidy 1, 2, 3 settle-in inning for Evans. Some offensive moments for Virginia. You had the double, you had the forward single on the hardliner right side, but to use that palm ball effectively to make sure that he secured the 3 strikeouts to put up a 0.
He's had 2 of the 3 strikeouts on a palm ball.
This put in play by Ferentz, and there is a 3rd hit for Virginia as he loops one into the outfield grass to lead off the bottom half of the second inning.
Jam job, just a little bit up, and those jam jobs will find the outfield when you do that. If they're down, they're ground balls. So a lot of people are like, oh, soft contact. Yeah, but it's up. And when it's up, it has a chance to find the outfield grass.
Well, you talked about Ferentz and what he's provided at the plate. We mentioned the portal and Whalen coming over and some of that. Maybe nobody putting more impressive numbers together among the newcomers, not the freshman from Charlottesville, than Ferentz, who's at first base once more.
The impressive thing about Ferentz is he hits the ball from line to line with power. Line to line with power.
Deep 3 find, and Stefan grounds his first base side as Ferentz will have to retreat. Different start to the inning. You know, O'Farrell and Whalen were both struck out to set the stage for Finateri. This time around, he's got to work with a leadoff base runner. Stefan with Sauke out of the lineup, reinserted in left field, with Whalen finding a space in right. So the everyday DH for Virginia from a season ago, getting his first look at it in this weekend.
Stefan, a quality hitter, and you saw they tried to do some action with him. Coach Mack, that was a hit and run on 0-0 that he fouled off. He's a player that can do a lot of different things. He can bunt, hit and run, doesn't strike out. Excellent, excellent offensive player.
Behind in the count, 1-2. And a runner on the move. Here comes the throw down, and it is well ahead of Ferentz's arrival, as he is taken care of, erased from the base paths.
Well, I'll tell you what, the freshman catcher for Georgia Tech, Lackey, is impressive. I saw him in the fall in an inter-squad game. Love the way he receives. He can throw. He is just, the more experience he gets, the better he's going to get at this level. But he's very talented back there.
Syracuse takes on Pitt. Then it's 20th ranked Clemson squaring off against Notre Dame. Coverage beginning at 4 Eastern. That's Sunday on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Luke Hansen, half-hearted look at it as he falls behind 0-1.
It's interesting. Finateri has faced now 8 batters, 8 and 7 first pitch strikes. So he's getting ahead.
Always critical, certainly for your Friday night starter. And getting ahead has translated into 4 of the 5 outs being secured on the punch out. Hansen lines this into center field. Well, it's been a tale of 2 outcomes so far when you think about it. He's either struck the batter out, or Virginia's putting a hit up on the board. Already 4 hits notched by the Hoos in the first couple of innings, despite the at times dominance we've seen from the right-hander.
It's a great approach to the middle of the field. It's a little slider. He just takes it right where it's thrown. Outer half. We call that TTM, through the middle. It's just good hitting. Now, here you're going to see the ball put in play because he pounds the strike zone. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys. You know, it's about a strikeout an inning. So I can see play action, hit and runs, ball in play. The game will move quickly. Just depends if he's down in the strike zone, he'll be effective. If he's up, not good.
Well, the one thing pitchers may have going for them so far tonight A lot of humidity in the yard. This is going to work its way in between the fielders on the right side. In the end, everybody's safe. So Becker, the second baseman tonight, just kind of dribbles one out there, and it pays off for UVA.
Well, you'll see a lot of shifting with the Jackets. They use a lot of metrics defensively. You can see their line where they're at right now, defensive alignment. So kind of a weird play right there. Really just a great pitch, soft contact, but got in between the defenders.
Saves an AB for O'Farrell with 2 down, who, as I mentioned, was a strikeout victim his first time. He swings at the first pitch. Out to his usual spot. His counterpart takes care of it. The inning. Now, Oregon State trying to represent everybody out on the West Coast. Here's how they shake out. Obviously, SEC, ACC heavy when you talk about the number of teams that are in contention to host. In Virginia right now slated in that 10 spot.
Yeah, the metrics are really strong in the ACC right now, and UVA in a very good spot.
How important was it a year ago for Virginia to be here in this ballpark? You think back, they were able to roll by East Carolina here in the regional round, and then Duke had to come here in the super regional round. The locations for those postseason showdowns make all the difference in the world.
Huge. I believe it's the stats out there. It was a few years ago where 70%, might have been 75% of all super regional hosts actually went to Omaha. They won their super and went to Omaha.
Here's the 1-2, and this is fouled off again. Well, you may be wondering, how does Virginia's resume look overall at the moment? Where do the numbers fall for the Cavaliers? It's a strong one. This is a team, they put together one of the more impressive offensive starts to the season that you're ever going to see. And what they've done against ranked opponents in the ACC also garnering this team national attention. That is by O'Farrell, and Jaros is aboard with a leadoff knock for Georgia Tech here in the top half of the third inning. When you look at Virginia as a whole, size them up from a resume standpoint.
Oh, they're definitely one of the top 15 teams in the country. They're going to host a regional, I mean, with a 12 RPI. And then as far as, you know, we're going to get into OTZ later, they're one of the top teams in the country as far as performance in the strike zone. So, yeah, they've done an excellent job, although they're still trying to figure some things out on the mound. But boy, they've really done a nice job of getting through their schedule so far, and really can move even higher as they move, you know, into their tournament play.
Well, and I'll go back to that point from a moment ago. If you're going to have a year where you're trying to figure some things out on the mound, do it when everybody's having to do that in college baseball right now, for the most part.
Well, you can do that when you have one of the best offenses in the country year in and year out.
Team that comes in, think about the overall performance offensively, and we'll underscore it one more time. Nearly 50 runs in a weekend series for Virginia last weekend. Setting a new school mark. This is going to be up the first base line, well executed by Lackey. You saw his defensive value behind the plate throwing out a runner a moment ago, and here he does the job to put a Jacket in scoring position.
Beautiful sacrifice bunt right there, perfectly placed up the first base line, made the first baseman field the ball. That's technically sound. It's a nice job by the young man right there. And, you know, he's young. He's still trying to figure it out offensively at this level. So it's a smart play. Let's get the runner in scoring position and see what happens from here.
So the first hit for Georgia Tech, now down there for the taking at second base. And Trey Younger will line this into right field. They're going to wave the runner around third, and it will be the Jackets striking first on the road in Charlottesville.
Well, Trey Younger, just a quality player right there. And when you have runners in scoring position, there's no reason to wait around and get to a 0-1 count or an 0-2 count or whatever. Just go get it. You see something up that you like, do exactly what Trey Younger just did. Through the middle of the field to where the RBIs live.
22nd RBI on the season for Younger. And the Jackets, for all the noise that Virginia has made in the first few innings of the ball game, becoming the first team to put something on the board.
A little more efficient, I guess I would say. And a little old school baseball right there with the sack bunt, get into scoring position, and paid off for the Jackets.
5 base runners for Virginia, 1 for 3 the start for UVA with runners in scoring position. And his team, well, 3 base runners total, the 1 hit, and it has come around to score as they are off to a perfect start in the runners in scoring position department. Toss over Ford's direction as they check on the runner Younger.
Well, they have to be careful right here. Trey Younger's 9 of 10 in stolen bases, so he's at a 90% clip right now. Success rate.
Wide open spaces on the right side of the infield with Ford holding the runner, and Younger is going to go first to third on a ball sent right through by Burris. And there's the first moment for the freshman on the Georgia Tech side this weekend.
So you see, I mean, look at the defense right here. We have a shift to the pull side, and then Burris goes right where the second baseman will be playing. Possible double play ball if you had someone there, but you know, it's unfortunate for.
Showed you where Georgia Tech is standings wise, though everything is out in front of them. It's ranked foe after ranked foe after ranked foe the rest of the way. At the right moment, he came to life. Couple of home runs, 7 RBIs this past weekend. He's got a chance for an early RBI this weekend. Runner 90 feet away in the form of Younger as they're first and third with 1 down.
And look at that right there. Just an easy take. He wanted nothing to do with that pitch. He was trying to get him to chase. Anxious. It's a very veteran hitter up there.
Patient once more.
They will be careful with Ellis. Seen this with Ellis the last couple weeks. Teams do not want to mess with him with runners in scoring position.
Well, and it's been Giesler that had been providing the protection. He's in the 5 slot today. It is Jones on deck, who would be the next for Virginia to attack as he occupies the 4 hole today.
This would be an intentional, unintentional looking walk right here for Ellis, and then they're going to take their chances, a 1-pitch possible double play situation with Cam Jones. Although Cam Jones can really run, so the ball's going to have to be smoked if that's what happens when we get to that situation.
Third 3-ball count, and he finds the zone to make it 3-1.
Boy, my wife would be upset right now. She does not like hitters taking on 3-0 with runners in scoring position. My wife of 30 years, she is all over that. She says that's one of the best pitches you'll see.
Well, this is a pretty good hitter's pitch as well, and it is sent right up the middle and into the outfield. It's going to mean a doubling of the Georgia Tech lead. Younger comes home. Ellis capitalizes. It's 2-0 Georgia Tech.
That's twice now that there's been ground balls that have been hit. Watch this now. That looks like it's going right at where a shortstop would be. Okay, but these are 2 balls that went against the shift. Burris and Ellis now have hit ground balls that would be outs with a straight up defense. So it's interesting.
Georgia Tech able to beat it twice. Georgia Tech able to capitalize both times with the runner there for the taking in scoring position. And Burris is now in that spot with Cam Jones the batter.
Kind of shocked they threw to him on 3-0 and 3-1. I'm really, it kind of blew me away right
well,
there.
you felt like it was going to be the set it up and try to get the double place in there.
And once you go 3-0, you would think that was where they were headed. And then he got 2 darn good pitches to swing at.
A guy who has been the hot hitter in the Georgia Tech lineup continues it. Again, drove in 7 last weekend. That's the first of his RBIs this weekend. Fans getting a little restless. They wanted a strike called there, but 2-0 is the count on Cam Jones.
Pitch was definitely off the plate.
Also tough to get the benefit of the doubt as Blanco has looked for the zone a little bit early here. Gets this strike called at the letters. 2-1. 89 speed check that time from Blanco. 2 runs in on 4 hits for Georgia Tech, and every bit of that, all 4 hits coming in this 3rd inning. Another 3-1 count here.
Those 3-ball counts, we talked about this partner in the past. 50-50 chance for the hitter to reach base. So that's a 500 on base percentage. Would you like that? Would you take that? Something you'd be interested in?
All day long. This is his 4th when you talk about 3-ball counts in the game.
There you go. And you got to avoid those at all costs.
The 3-1 will not find the zone. They are loaded with everything set up for Giesler.
Both of those fastballs that Blanco wanted right there were definitely off the plate a little bit. Just missing. Just makes a little adjustment away from arm side, which is closer to the right-handed hitter. And here's Giesler, the target that we've talked about, the key for the Jackets offense.
Well, what a key piece he has been in his return to the lineup. Who can forget the go-ahead 3-run home run in the 6th inning on Sunday in the Tech series? And the Virginia Tech series, that is, of course, for Georgia Tech. And it's just one of the many moments since his return. Here's another as he will split the gap. That is all the way to the base of the wall. And by the time Virginia picks it up in the outfield, Giesler has cleared them with a 3 RBI double to open up a Tech lead.
He has been huge since he got back from his injury, and he's just starting to find that happy zone, okay? Doesn't matter how much you hit off a tee, doesn't matter how much. Watch this pitch. Inner half, and he throws the head to it and just drives it to the wall, clearing the bases. Huge RBIs right there for the Jackets. And like we said, Giesler is the key guy in their lineup. He's the target, as far as I'm concerned, because he wasn't there for a while. I mean, he's been out of the lineup, and now he's a run producer if he can stay hot.
One of the surprises today was that he was in the 5 spot and not in the 4 hole, right in behind Ellis. But guess what? It's the right spot. And 1,400 wins.
That's what I was going to say.
You might know what you're doing in that first base dugout.
I think a Hall of Fame means something when you're in the Hall of Fame.
Pushing all the right buttons. Mr. Hall. Danny Hall right now, his team out front 5-0. As Peyton Green will take a look at this low. Boy, you begin to watch the pitch count all of a sudden as it continues to climb, closing in on 60 pitches. Evan Blanco coming off of back-to-back tremendous starts for UVA in a 5-0 hole here. This is going to be bunted, first base side. Nobody home, and they will be on the corners as seeing an opening and taking advantage is Green.
Wow, that was a shocking situation right there. I think it really surprised the Cavaliers. Perfectly placed. No one knew what to do on that. I mean, you're kind of caught in that no man's land with that perfectly placed bunt. As a first baseman, do I go after it? Do I wait for the pitcher? Once it kind of got by Blanco a little bit, that's going to be a base hit all day.
Yep, bunt single, and the 6th hit of the inning. Kerr said, why not? He squared around a bunt, but takes this inside 90 miles an hour. Well, we were tracking that runner in scoring position opportunity for Georgia Tech. 4 of their first 4, 5 brought home. With the runners in scoring position scenario here in the 3rd, and there's another now at 3rd base in Giesler.
James Ramsey, former All-American and first-round pick, Florida State Seminole, does an outstanding job running Danny Hall's offense. And you've seen so far he's done some things. I mean, you'll see slashes, you'll see bunts, you'll see doubles, power. He has a complete offense that he runs.
Here's another bunt. Able to squeeze one on in. The only out will be at first as Giesler scores, and Georgia Tech has made it 6-0. Everything according to script for the Jackets here in the 3rd inning.
Well, this was a really interesting situation here. We got a 1st and 3rd, and instead of pushing, which a lot of people will push kind of safety, they call it a safety to the right side, he drops down a drag bunt, and there's a perfectly placed drag bunt for another run. Huge. Great call again by Coach Ramsey.
Say it once more. Everything according to script for Georgia Tech in a 6-run 3rd inning, marked by all 6 hits in the game coming home in this frame. Blanco now up over 60 pitches and still dealing with a runner in scoring position as Green is at 2nd base.
You think about this inning. You got 2 ground balls that beat the shift, and you have 2 well-executed bunts. Those are quality at bats.
And Jaros, who started things, will fly this into right field as the Jackets bat against Vinatieri, whose world just changed, right? Went to the dugout after seeing his team held scoreless and hitless in the first 2 frames. Suddenly he's staked to a 6-0 lead.
And he's been pounding the strike zone. He's got to continue to do that. He's only thrown 6 balls. 6 balls out of 30 pitches now. That's 7. Okay, so that's 7 pitches now out of 30 pitches in this baseball game. That is excellent execution, and it has had 0 3-ball counts. 0.
Well, you knew it was going to happen right then, right? But you were absolutely correct. Been completely efficient. You think about the strikeout numbers already beginning to climb as he has punched out 4. Deals with Bobby Whalen here. You know, really it has been a story of the ability to capitalize on early opportunities, because Virginia's got 5 hits on the board, but nothing across to show for it just yet against Vinatieri.
And here's his first 3-ball count. This is a huge opportunity right here.
It's fouled right off the mask of his battery mate by Whalen.
We like to just keep an eye on those 3-ball counts, because you do have a 50% chance at the college game to reach first base on any 3-ball count.
Well, that being true, obviously the first full count of the ball game, and Whalen will swing away at it. Another 3-2 is coming.
And you sit there on the couch and you go, 50% shot. Wow, that's not very good. 50%, that's 500. I'm hitting 500. Nobody hits 500.
You have to consider that the best hitters in the history of the game are knocking on the door of 4 out of 10 successful. It is a game built on failure, and when you can have those kind of odds, you'll take it. This is looped into right field, base hit for Whalen.
And there you go.
Winding toward its championship pursuit. We'll have so much of that coverage for you on the ACC network.
I was here when they built Klockner.
Got a story on that one?
I mean, it was phenomenal. And when they built it, nobody had a stadium like that in soccer or lacrosse.
Well, when you
in
were
the
here,
whole country.
When you were here a few weeks ago, you were showing us the leftover football turf that once adorned this field.
Yes.
And how different it is from the pristine facility that you see now. By the growth of this athletic precinct for the University of Virginia. You look out at Klockner to the left. You look straight behind the batter's eye now in Palmer Park, the new home for softball. Impressive. All the football facilities that are going in where U-Hall used to be in the distance here. Of course, the track beyond the outfield fence going to be very busy this weekend. There's a look at Palmer, the new home of the Virginia softball team, as they just closed up their home slate for 2024. I mean, this truly, it's always been called the athletic precinct, but now almost the entirety of the athletic function of this university happening right here on this footprint.
The Virginia alumni really stepped up. They made a decision, I don't know, almost 20 years ago, I guess, about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and said, hey, are we going to go to the next level with our facilities or not? And everybody stepped up from the last, you know, the living alumni that are out there, contributed, and the product is amazing.
It's remarkable. Here's a called strike 3, takes care of Anderson, and that is a 5th punch out already secured for Vinatieri. Leaves Whalen staked to first base. Boy, one more thought on that when you talk facilities. Walk us through this pitch.
Here's that palm ball again that we talked about earlier. It's so slow that it's just freezing the Virginia hitters. I know that they're trying to keep their chest on it and go backside, but they're like, wow, what is that? It's got a parachute on it. It's a Bugs Bunny changeup. It's very good.
And now Ford trying to solve him, who singled in the first inning. Remember, he hit that ball hard to the right side that resulted in a hit. But Virginia was unable to capitalize, and thus still looking for their first run. Ford kind of referenced it. He was out of the lineup, caught a little bit of a bug in the midweek. Didn't play in the second of the midweek games against George Mason, but back in the lineup, we're told, feeling much better. And I guess the early returns indicate that. A 1-for-1 start, his average up to 375 on the year. Here comes the 1-1 his direction. And there's another called strike. Well, here's that Anderson punch out.
Yeah, here's the relevance of that strikeout. They just do not strike out. I mean, look at this. This is the lowest strikeout rate in the ACC, and you see Anderson in there, O'Farrell's in there. I mean, they don't strike out, and they're freezing. Both those guys had a strikeout tonight.
Yep, he has struck out both Anderson and O'Farrell. This is in the air to center. 2 down in the inning.
And both on that palm ball, because it's so extreme off the fastball. It has that, it looks fastball, and then it has like a parachute that just slows it down. It looks like it stops in midair, and you're going, what is this as a hitter? It just freezes you.
And when you're talking about some of the best hitters, you mentioned it, O'Farrell's the single season hit leader in the history of the program, and Anderson, a guy who led this team to the charge postseason wise last year in so many ways, making it tough on the really good hitters. Here's a really good hitter in Didowick who gives this a ride, but there's just enough yard to hold it right field side here in the athletic precinct. And with the success of this baseball program, crowds continuing to be more and more impressive, no doubt will be as we go deeper into the season. Well, Evan Blanco remains. He has thrown 60+ pitches to this point, and will try to shake off the 6-run third. That may help. Hard liner, but right at Stefan, one away.
That's 66 pitches right there. Last inning, he threw 28 pitches. So he really needs to have an efficient inning and get his pitch count down so he can go deeper in the game for the Cavs.
I'm just hoping Virginia is at least that third inning for Evan Blanco was an aberration. Everything went right for Georgia Tech in that inning. Everybody coming to the plate, contributing in some way. Younger had an RBI single in that second inning after he grounded out to first base unassisted in his first trip to the plate tonight. 1-for-2 start for Younger. Well, he provides so much at the top of the order, doesn't he?
He's just so experienced. He's been around. He's played. He started for 4 years at Wofford, and now he's, 3 out of 4 years. And in his last year of eligibility as a grad student, he also already has a Wofford degree, which is a quality degree. He's a smart player.
Well, and one of those guys they were able to get to return home. You talked about how baseball-rich Atlanta is. He's an Atlanta kid, now playing for the Jackets in the closing stages of his college career. Couldn't hold up here, and it is a strike. 77. There's that change of pace from Blanco. He's used that effectively at times.
Yeah, that changeup's big. I mean, he really needs to execute that pitch and then his fastball in on right-handed hitters. Georgia Tech's done a good job fouling some of those off.
Hansen backs up. Strong throw across the diamond. A 5-3 putout. 2 gone.
It's a nice play right there. What a strong arm going back toward the outfield and releasing that ball. Hansen throwing some athleticism and a nice quick arm. Watch how he goes back on the ball because he had the tweener hop and then gets rid of it, because Trey Younger can really run. So he knew he had to get rid of that immediately. Put his foot in the ground. It's almost like a quarterback, which he used to be in high school.
Did a little bit of that over in Williamsburg, right?
Mm-hmm.
And made an immediate decision as well. You credit his understanding of the moment. Not a bad stretch on the other end of that play from Ford to make sure it was completed. Here is Burris singling and scoring a run in that third inning. What is it makes Burris such a unique player? I know you love his defensive ability as much as you enjoy what we're seeing at the plate from him in the ACC.
I think for him as a freshman, mentally, he feels like he belongs right now at this level. And a lot of guys, they have the ability to do it, but their mind hasn't caught up yet. So it takes them a year or so, and then by their sophomore year, they're ready to go mentally. He's ready to go right now. And he's not only that, but he's smart. He studies film. He's not just a swinger up there. He's got an idea of what he wants to do with 2 strikes. He's got an idea early in the count. He's all about directional hitting through the middle of the field, much like Henry Ford, who we featured in the Open. Both these guys are very accomplished for such young players.
Yeah, and it's no surprise. Preseason freshman All-American from Prospects Live. And mid-season living up to the hype, of course, as D1 Baseball's list is there for you. As highly regarded a player to arrive on the flats, as you have seen in recent memory.
Well, he turned down a lot of money out of high school in the draft. So, I mean, this is a guy that could be playing pro ball right now, and he's in the ACC doing it.
Here he's going to draw a walk on what was a third full count from Blanco. And there it is, a third free pass from Blanco. 3 walks against 1 strikeout for Blanco thus far.
Definitely not the script that the Cavaliers wanted Blanco to get into here. They need him to go deep in the game, and he's done such a good job of that this season. Well, the Jackets are have really been disciplined on his changeup.
Blanco last weekend, we talked about him giving up the early home run, then retiring 14 out of the next 15. Did not walk a batter in that start, and think about it, has only issued coming into tonight, 11 free passes all season. That was a top 5 lowest total in the league. And tonight, the Jackets, and it's what they do, they've earned a trio off him already.
That's amazing. That is amazing that they have 3 walks when he only has 11 on the entire season.
Well, and wasn't that one of the games within the game when you look at this matchup? You think about the approach for Georgia Tech at the plate. You look at how good Blanco had been in terms of limiting free passes. Georgia Tech to this point has won that battle, and they lead in the overall battle 6-0 as a result. This in the air to Didowick. He will make the catch, and the inning is over. Production on both sides along the way, but for 47 of them to come from one angle speaks to what Virginia was able to do this past weekend.
Well, let me tell you something. That man right there, Coach Mack, in my opinion, is the all-time greatest associate head coach in the country. The things that he has done with Coach Oak here at Virginia, amazing. And we met a long ago in the early 90s. He used to come down and work our camps here at Virginia. And what he's done, I'm just so proud of him. He's an amazing coach.
Well, enjoyable guy to be around as well. You think about what impact his family's had on the game. You know, midweek game coming up for Virginia is Liberty coming over. Got a son on that squad that's going to be rolling in here, so some prime family moments coming up for him as well. But you said it, what he's meant to this program over the years, tremendous. This in the air to right field, that's going to be handled out there. And there is one away. What can you say about the job? We talk about that high-powered Virginia offense. Vinatieri holding them down so far.
Yeah, he's filling it up. He's really changing speeds. He's got that late movement with his fastball. It's been very, very effective in the strike zone so far.
Virginia team that matched the school record for runs in a 3-game ACC series last weekend with those images we showed you. 2009 at Wake Forest, 18 in the opener, 8 in the middle game, 21 in the finale that time around. And it was the most in any 3-game series in the last couple of years. Any 3-game series for Virginia. Still simply go to acc.com/spring football. Happening here, by the way.
No doubt.
It's one of the reasons we got a full booth tonight.
That's why we have Nick Statzi in the booth.
Always a bonus anytime you can see Joe McNish, who's in the booth alongside of us here, and providing that little bit of extra in a game like this, as he's going to be very busy tomorrow.
He is the premier stats guru at ESPN, and we are blessed to have him in the booth here on a Friday night in the ACC.
Pulled him away from Knoxville long enough to make sure that he could be a part of things. Time you look across this one so far, the 3rd inning, everything you could have wanted it to be.
Yes, we had a very good inning, executed some bunts, got some big hits when we need them. Giesler's blow was a big one for us, but couldn't have had probably a more perfect inning for us on offense.
What's it been like getting Giesler back and just being recharging your offense? It really lengthens your lineup.
Well, no doubt, you know, and he was a great player for us last year, all-conference player, and had him out for quite a while, well over a month. So to get him back and kind of get him going again, it to your point, it just lengthens the lineup and gives us another guy with some thump.
Coach, we appreciate you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Good luck, Coach.
Thanks.
So many things to talk to him about right there. Vinatieri dialed in so far as well in terms of limiting the damage and using the strikeout effectively. It's been a balanced attack for Georgia Tech so far.
Yeah, but I think, partner, when you brought up Giesler, I mean, you could see how it lit him
Absolutely.
up there, too. I mean, they're so excited about getting him back. Here's another hit.
It's lined into left field. Base knock for Jones. Jump starting it perhaps here.
Offense for the Jackets getting this young man back who's been out over a month.
Well, and I'm with you. You could see in the body language of the head coach exactly what it means to have him in the lineup. He off to a 1-for-2 start here. Grounded out to 3rd and then had that 3 RBI double you saw. That base runner for Georgia Tech, with Jones now aboard on the 7th hit. The 10th base runner for the Jackets. And a leadoff scenario here in the 5th inning. They'll chase him back to the bag. Blanco, the starter, remains. And all the damage, at least to this point, having been limited to that 3rd inning, though there is action in the Virginia pen. As you can see, Ryan Osinski warming for UVA.
Yeah, I mean, there's Blanco's thrown a lot of pitches, and the Jackets have had a lot of traffic. So Coach O'Connor could be looking to make a switch here pretty soon unless Blanco settles down and can get out of this inning in a hurry.
81 pitches thus far. Left-hander again going to toss to first.
Sometimes as a pitching coach, you'll call some picks to first base just to get your bullpen a little more time also. I've seen it so many times. It's kind of a freebie there to kind of stall the game a little bit. Just keep picking to first base and let your bullpen move around a little bit more.
Yeah, give that arm a little more time to warm up. And certainly a busy pen for Virginia right now. Here comes another.
That's a very, very veteran move right there by Coach Dickinson.
Well, will he turn his attention to the plate? And Giesler, once he does, lift it in the air. Didaway camps under it, and there's the first out of the inning. You know, should point out that hit to lead off the frame from Jones, the only hit for Georgia Tech outside of that third inning, speaks to how impactful that one frame right now has been for the Jackets.
They've been effective, like efficiently effective with their offense. And they've capitalized when they've had an opportunity.
Virginia was 6 hits on the board. They've been a little more spread out. For Georgia Tech, it was the monster third. And now trying to jumpstart something with 1 out, 1 aboard here in the 5th as Green bunts this foul. Remember, handled the bat well and came away with a single as a result of it back in that third frame.
Now you do have to, you know, if you're Coach Dickinson, you do have to be careful right here. You're looking at 18 for 19, 18 stolen bases out of 19 attempts for Cam Jones.
And he's moving on cue, but this is bunted foul. That'll be the second strike in the at-bat of Green, so they have to return to first.
Told you earlier, superior athlete, Cam Jones. Two-way player, plays the outfield, plays first base, starting pitcher. Today hitting 4th in the lineup. So, yeah, I mean, it's a quality player. Transfer from Georgia State.
If you want to see just how versatile, join us tomorrow.
Right.
When he finds himself in that completely different role.
And you talk about changeup, a changeup fest. Watch tomorrow. We're seeing some great changeups tonight from both starting pitchers. His changeup is outstanding.
0-2 count, and this delivery well high. And the at-bat of Green.
Blanco has a chance to get out of this with 1 pitch. Probably see Coach Ramsey putting Cam Jones in action right here, staying away from that double play.
Virginia thinking the same thing, limiting that lead for Jones. After a long and deliberate look, another toss over toward first.
I'll tell you another thing about the Cavaliers. This game is long from over. I mean, you're talking about one of the best offenses in the country. Scoring 10 runs is no big deal for the Cavs. So if Blanco can get some settled innings and put some zeros up, they'll have a good opportunity to get back in this game. Great pitch right there.
Well, let's talk about it for just a moment, as that is a second strikeout for Blanco. Taking care of Green. You know, Virginia is a team that doesn't mind to come from behind. It's been their MO this season. Doesn't mind to give up the big frame and still able to bounce back. Look no further than this past weekend.
Well, when you have the offense that Coach Mack runs with the athletes that the Cavs have over there in that dugout, you can you can get down and still be like, hey, no problem, plenty of game, but you do need a pitcher to settle the game, even when they're behind, to allow them to catch up. Their opponent can't keep scoring and match when they're down 5-6 runs. They got to put some zeros up.
Blanco trying to hold serve, keep the damage at 6. Well, Virginia's offense coming in to the weekend, 468 hits, the most of any team in the country. Top 5 in batting average, top 5 in doubles, top 5 in runs, top 5 in scoring. So all the numbers there to prove how prolific this offense is. the number we've highlighted, 47, the run total from the past weekend in ACC play. Right now they find themselves trailing 6-0 in the 5th to a Georgia Tech team that utilized you heard Coach Hall say it, perfect script in many ways in a 6-run third. Runner is moving. Here comes the throw to second base on a pitch inside. And able to swipe his 19th of the season as Jones. He's in scoring position.
19 out of 20, partner. It's outstanding. And Blanco did a really nice job, but Cam Jones, too much speed. Too good a jump for him right there. It's very difficult to throw a guy out when he runs like that. Vulcan right there. Outstanding pitch. Vulcan change.
Kearse right over it. Even things 1-1.
And you'll see that with freshmen. A lot of times these freshmen, and Kearse is a true freshman, the changeup, the breaking ball, they're not quite used to seeing that good of off-speed stuff at the high school level. And they get up to the Division I, especially the ACC level. It's a totally different story than a high school breaking ball or a high school changeup. It's a lot harder.
Quick adjustments for young players. We talk about some of the great young players in this game. You forget when they make it look so easy how much of an adjustment that can be. Georgia Tech team so effective with runners in scoring position with one there now. Jones takes off again. And this is fouled off first base side by Kearse. Jackets, if you weren't with us in that third inning, 4 of 5 with runners in scoring position, all 6 runs driven home in that scenario. And here is the latest such opportunity for Georgia Tech.
Seeing a good at-bat right here by the young freshman Kearse. Fouling balls off to the backside, respecting Blanco's changeup. Be interesting to see what they go with here.
Boy, Blanco able to secure just.
Bobby here, listen, your offensive adjustments, you're about halfway through this game. What's your plan?
Well, Bobby, you saw in the first couple innings we had opportunities, just couldn't cash in, and you know, they did a nice job of executing some pitches, and you know, he's throwing a fair amount of fastballs, and we just got to stay on the fastball and hopefully lay off the sliders. Doing a nice job with the changeup to lefties, and just, you know, we've done this all year where we've been down and mounted comebacks, and you know, this team believes that they can come back from this, and we just need to get a couple runs on the board and close the gap a little bit.
No doubt.
Coach, the third inning was the third inning, but Blanco's giving you some length in behind that thus far.
Yeah, you know, that happens. We've all been around the game long enough that a 6-run inning might be the last time that happens to that kid in his career. It hasn't happened this year, but he did a nice job of shutting him out the last 2 innings. And you know, when that happens in the first part of the game, your job as a starter is to eat the game up. And I thought he did a nice job. But we'll make a switch here in the 6th inning. He's at 90 pitches and go to a right-hander next.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Good luck, Coach.
Always.
Thank you.
Well, looking for, as you heard, that offense to come to life right here. He has the 9, 1, and 2 spots. Becker in front of the top of the order, as he will foul the 2-1 off first base side. With an offense like this, you know, BMO, always just a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great game for the Jackets so far, and you know, Blanco's really settled them down a little bit to where the Cavalier offense can peck away, like Coach Oak just said. 2 runs, maybe here, then there, and you still got a lot of game left. And it's always interesting with the Who's offense.
Well, this is a team, you know, when you average right around double digits in that department, the runs department, you know it's just a matter of time. But right now, a challenge to Sav Finateri, who just notched his 7th strikeout of the ballgame.
The Cavaliers having a hard time with that palm ball. It's just so slow, and he's throwing it for a strike, and here it is again. It just doesn't get there.
Back to the top of the order, about to work his way through now for a 3rd time, and he deals with O'Farrell, who has struck out and grounded out. Talk about hitters making adjustments. Here's one at the plate that has made a career out of it.
This guy will have an understanding of what he needs to do.
On cue, dumps one into left field for a base hit. O'Farrell aboard for the first time. So often the catalyst for UVA, and he has the 7th hit of the night for Virginia.
Well, that's all about adjustments. You know, it's that chess match between the pitching coach, the pitcher, and the hitter. At the college level, the pitching coach is highly involved in that. Yet, you see O'Farrell make the adjustment, sat off speed, line drive to left field.
489 hits for Virginia. Mentioned they came in leading the country. Entered the weekend with 34 more hits than anybody else. Texas Tech, the next closest. Whalen puts this in play. Center fielder over. Burris, who covers a great deal of real estate out there, he is going to make the play.
This is how well Vinatieri's been throwing. He's faced 20 hitters. He's had 15 first pitch strikes. So 15 of 20 so far in this game. You keep doing that. That's just, you know, you talk about getting ahead. 15 of 20, that's outstanding.
That's how you work your way toward 7 punch outs, and those 7 hits have been scattered. You glance up at the scoreboard and he's still working nothing but zeros on the home side. Trying to change that right here, right now is Anderson. Gives it a ride into right, but into the corner to make the play is Jones, and it is a
very capable of keeping the Jackets down.
He'll work to Jaros, then Lackey in the top of the order. And his first pitch well outside. 92, plenty of velocity there, but kept Anderson honest behind the plate. Jaros off of Blanco, a single up the middle and a run scoring in the 3rd. And then he flew out to right to close things up. Remember, he jump started that 6-run 3rd inning as the Jackets batted around. It's one of the more remarkable emerging storylines of the night, that both teams have, for the most part, stayed even in the hit column. Both teams with 7 hits, but Georgia Tech able to capitalize with all 6 of the game's runs.
Just a little more efficient, actually a lot more efficient
yes,
with their offense.
And all in that one frame. Here's the 2-1. That's tattooed deep center, yard enough to hold it. And we've seen a couple of balls hit well. That one by Jaros. Anderson gave it a pretty good ride to end the last inning for Virginia, but 79% humidity. No wind on this night. On a different night in this ballpark, you may see a different outcome.
That ball's 104 miles per hour off the barrel, hit deep into center field, but the ball's going nowhere tonight. With the humidity, it's a little cool, there's no wind. You got to really earn it to get it out of here tonight.
Don't mind to grab the baseball atop the hill. Osinski sees this go into the graveyard of center field. It's been a busy night for Didowick out there in center already.
It's been a little bit of a old school Virginia graveyard feel here, which means the ball is dying in the air. It used to be the hardest. Whew, I was here 6 years and only saw 6 balls hit out to right field. 6 home runs in 6 years to right field. The ball would never carry here. You just start right down the middle and let them hit fly balls as far as they want.
Well, been a different story with the home run ball of late. It's a Virginia team that has used it as one of their main weapons across the course of the season. 12 home run outburst in Louisville that took the Cavaliers, made them one of the top 16 or so teams in the country, put them in the top 5 in the ACC as they're closing in on 70 home runs for the year. But tough night to add to that total. This is back to Osinski, and he'll make the play. Underhands it to Ford at the bag. Second out recorded on the ACC network and the ESPN app. Those two top of the 9th inning in a 5-5 game right now. Clemson and Notre Dame, just an appetizer for what's to come on the network Sunday. Trey Younger, the leadoff man in the Georgia Tech lineup. He bats with 2 down and nobody aboard. Already has an RBI single to his credit in this contest. Georgia Tech team that kind of left a lot of people around the country going into the last couple of weeks, scratching their head a little bit. Some of the pieces were there. When would this team emerge? 6 out of the last 9 in the win column. 6 runs up on the board here today, looking good against the 10th ranked team in the country thus far. Younger, one of the reasons. He awaits a 1-2, and that is just going to miss. 96 speed check, it seems, as deuces are wild here in the 6th inning.
That was definitely off the plate. Definitely off the plate. Just a little bit. Good pitch, good baseball. Both sides of the ball.
Osinski's 2-2 just misses. 93 that time. And they're hanging on every one of these deliveries from the power arm that Osinski brings to the table.
Where you're talking earlier to further your point about Georgia Tech, they sweep NC State, who's very good. They just beat North Carolina last night on a walk-off home run by Brandon Butterworth, the Western Carolina transfer, by the way. And you know, you're wondering, gosh, I mean, Georgia Tech sweeps an NC State, then they go and lose 6 straight in the ACC. Back-to-back sweeps. And then they beat Virginia Tech 2 out of 3, and then here they are.
With at least the tone-setting moment of the weekend series against the number 10 team in the country on the road.
Right, 6-0. And I did leave this out, partner. They went on the road after being swept back-to-back weekends and beat Pitt 2 out of 3. So who is Georgia Tech? And we're trying to find that out from a national scene.
But it's that Pitt weekend and the successful weekend at home against Virginia Tech that begins to give you a window into what it could look like if Georgia Tech were to make a run.
It gives you some hope, and I believe we talked about this as we were driving up. You and I talked about this. Giesler is the key to a lot of this for Georgia Tech. He really lengthens their lineup and makes them a better club offensively.
Younger has lengthened this at bat. 9th pitch, and it is sent into left field for a base hit. What a job grinding out the AB for Trey Younger.
Talk about a long, like you said, lengthened the at bat. He grinded out, fouled pitches off. Great 2-strike approach. Finally got what he wanted. Served it into the 6-hole.
Takes the bid for the nice and tidy 1-2-3 inning and turns it aside.
Got jammed a little bit, hit it 91 miles an hour, but hey, that's great hitting. It's not about how hard you hit the ball with 2 strikes. It's about putting the ball in play, grinding pitches, fouling them off. That's great offense.
Fouled off 3 pitches in a 2-strike count before he found something he could deposit into left with the 8th hit of the ball game for Georgia Tech. Just missing to Burris, who suddenly has saved an AB, and you think, oh, 2-out scenario, what difference does it really make? Well, it gives the youngster a chance to hit. Guy who is 2nd in the conference in terms of the long ball this year.
Olinsky just missing, just barely missing with some of those fastballs down and away.
Came on and got the fly out of Jaros, the ground out from Lackey. After a valiant at bat from Younger, he now has to deal with Drew Burris, one of the top freshmen in the land, who tonight didn't have the start he wanted, maybe. A strikeout at the hands of Blanco in the 1st inning, but has been solid since. A single on a run scored in the 3rd, a walk in the 4th. Another check on Younger. Younger's next stolen base will be his 10th. He has been caught just once this season. And this is fouled straight down around home plate. You know, should mention that Younger base hit the first 2-out hit for Georgia Tech in the game. They were prior to that, 0 of 5 in 2-out scenarios. So now 1 of 6 in that department to extend this inning. And fighting this off is Burris. Change of pace as it's 1-2. How about that?
Great
Go
stuff,
from
right?
mid-90s to 79. Somehow Burris is able to stay alive.
Well, this freshman's very accomplished. He's at a high level at a young age.
No doubt.
I mean, anytime when you walk more than you strike out and you hit with power, as Drew Burris does, it's impressive. I mean, just as an example, like the big leaguers that do that, Soto, Ohtani, Trout, people like that, they walk more than they strike out, and they hit with power.
And rare company. 1-2, fouled off again. He's still hanging in there.
Barry Bonds.
Could hit a little bit.
Yeah, even though he had some help, obviously, late in his career, but he always would walk more than he would strike out and hit with power, obviously. And that's the mark of a great hitter. Ted Williams, back in the day.
Runner on the move, the throw down, and Younger's able to get his left hand in there. There is the 10th stolen base of the year for Younger.
Great jump, great throw. I mean, just a very, very difficult situation right there. Younger being the athlete that he is, just a well-executed steal.
Well, another runner in scoring position for Georgia Tech. Jackets 4 of 6 in this scenario. Burris, the player trying to drive him in. Takes low and in, full count.
There's that 3-ball count we talk about. No matter if it's 2 strikes, 1 strike, no strikes, it's always a hitter advantage count anytime you get in a 3-ball count.
Second full count in the inning. After Osinski got a couple of quick outs. Younger's at bat, turning the tide. And the 3-2 put in play. Little trouble for O'Farrell, but what a recovery, though this is thrown away. The runner coming home, safe on the head first slide, is Younger. And he produces, with all his tools, a 7th Georgia Tech run this inning. You think about a 9-pitch at bat for Younger that served as the moment it started.
So here's what happened here. He had kind of a tweener hop, and he really didn't get it secured. Then he had to hurry because Burris can fly down the line. And when you pick it up and hurry like that, sometimes you have a tendency to throw it wild. The ball stays down on Henry. She thought was going to come up. Unfortunately, that's a situation where, you know, the Jackets get another run if you're a Virginia Cavalier fan.
The 9-pitch at bat from Younger. The stolen base by Younger, and then he has enough speed that the ball simply getting away at first base means a Georgia Tech run. So much of that with Younger's fingerprints and his ability all over it.
And it all multiplies. You pass the torch down the line when you hit offensively. The 9-pitch at bat goes to Burris and his fight up there and making contact with 2 strikes. It all puts pressure on the defense and the pitcher especially, and good things happen.
First of the unearned runs to go up on the board in the 7th run, the first since the 6-run 3rd inning for Georgia Tech. And it's now, talked about all the spring games, right? Jackets by a touchdown all of a sudden when you look at the scoreboard, as Georgia Tech capitalizing after the inning was extended by that Younger at bat. Remember, 2 quick outs by Osinski out of the pen, and then it turned.
And I can't say enough about Drew Burris hustling down the line. I mean, you're sitting there, you're hitting a ground ball routine to an All-American shortstop, Team USA shortstop, and you don't just assume, oh, well, I just hit a ground ball to All-American. He's going to throw me out, no problem. No, you get down the line hard, and you put pressure on O'Farrell, and you never know what's going to happen in baseball.
We just saw what can happen. And that's a point well made, regardless of the scenario. If you do your due diligence, positive things can happen. They did for Georgia Tech here. Now down to second base goes Burris. And with 2 outs, the noise being made by Georgia Tech all of a sudden. As Ellis is at the plate. Chance to grow the lead further. It's tight. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 92 on that delivery from Osinski.
We have the data up here. That ball was definitely inside. It's a good pitch. It's a really good pitcher's pitch. It's a really good take. It's just good baseball.
In play to left. Stefan is there, but Georgia
Location with his fastball, and then this pitch, the palm ball, the Bugs Bunny changeup, just isn't getting to the plate in time for the Virginia hitters to find the barrel. They think it's there, but it's not. And then the other thing about the Virginia offense for me is Saki being out of the game. He's not playing tonight. He's played 38 of 38 this year, and he's not in that lineup. That really affects your lineup. Like, whoa, where's my buddy at? He's not here. So that's something that the Cavs are going to have to overcome here tonight. They're going to have to figure it out and make an adjustment.
Well, those are the numbers from this season. He's been the everyday right fielder for as long as recent memory you could come together. Casey Saki not in the lineup after tweaking his ankle in the midweek. And boy, that just continues to be what is a snapshot of Vinatieri's night. Punch out number 8.
Yeah, watch it right here. Elevated fastball with some ride. And what's happening here? Same thing there. You're seeing his fastball more effective up in the strike zone because they have to respect the changeup execution that Vinatieri's had throughout the night. So now the fastball looks like it's 95 miles an hour because that Bugs Bunny changeup is so slow.
Well, and he's working toward making it that career night, closing in on it as he secures the 8th there. 1-1, bounce down to first. And that's going to be handled by Giesler. Well, what you've seen from Georgia Tech defensively thus far, what you have seen from Vinatieri, who you're talking about on the mound, what the offense pieced together in the 3rd inning and now has added to here in the 6th. A complete look from the Jackets in the opener thus far.
It's been a clinic so far on throwing strikes with your changeup, setting up your fastball, getting ahead on first pitches. 0-0 has been very, very critical for Vinatieri. It's been very impressive.
Ferentz on a button and lines it into left field. There's a hit for Virginia. Well, UVA trying to rip a page out of Georgia Tech's playbook from the top of this inning. A little 2-out noise provided by Jacob Ferentz.
That's a nice job of seeing a ball up in the strike zone, getting the head to it. Nice flat swing. Good hitting by a great hitter.
Here's Stefan. You talk about the absence of Saki. Saki's a guy who recorded his 200th hit on Wednesday against George Mason before tweaking the ankle a little later in that game. Just a day-to-day thing. They expect him to be back tomorrow, but he was 3 for 5 at the plate. And it was the 7th time this season he had a 3+ hit game. Guy who led the Cavaliers coming in with 58 hits with the top 3 total in the ACC, out of the lineup tonight. And the lineup sans Saki, trying to come to life with 2 down in this bottom of the 6th inning. Back-to-back knocks. This one from Stefan.
Using Georgia Tech's playbook from last inning, just like to further your point. But yeah, Saki could be huge as this whole series continues. But what a good swing right there.
Here is Luke Hansen in the contest at 3rd base tonight, taking a look at a called strike. Well, you were talking about Saki, just finishing up on that, how valuable he's been. A streak of 121 consecutive games in the lineup. That's what came to a halt with him having to make sure he's full song for the rest of the weekend. And that's what it's about, making sure he's back in there, perhaps as early as tomorrow, and certainly a key piece of this lineup.
Right, and I've been there. It's weird, you know, when your buddy's not in the line. You're like, wait a second, this is really strange for us. And you kind of have to get used to the new lineup a little bit. It might take them a while.
First runner in scoring position for Virginia since the second inning.
Well,
remember, Virginia has out-hit Georgia Tech 9-8 +1 in that category. But these opportunities have been few and far between of late. Hansen tries to cash in, singles into center. Ferrets around. Here's the play at the plate, and he is cut down there. Well, has Georgia that to this point has already drawn 3 of them, and off of a starter for Virginia that just didn't provide them across the course of the season to this juncture in Blanco. And it's one of the weapons that Georgia Tech used en route to that 6-run third frame.
Outstanding. I mean, it's just great points right there. Fantastic.
Jones, Giesler, and Green, the task in front of McKay, as he misses with his first 2 deliveries. And there's just how effective and intentional Georgia Tech is in that department.
I mean, think about that. On 0-0, they're taking 75% of the time. Those guys right there. I mean, they're basically saying, okay, we're going to get deep in the count no matter what. We're going to run our offense the way we want to run it. So, you know, if you give them an opportunity with some walks, it's not good.
Another chance for O'Farrell. Back to true for the Virginia shortstop. 6-3 put out. He has the first out of the inning. Yeah, you talk about the 3-1 counts, the 3-2 counts that were a part of that 6-run third inning. And really one of the games within the game, as we termed it back there, that you were keeping an eye on. A guy in Blanco who doesn't walk a lot of people, and a Georgia Tech team that likes to utilize that as a weapon. And that battle won by Georgia Tech in that one frame, in that 6-run third, still stands as the difference. Boy, O'Farrell back in a groove, isn't he? Couple of chances, and he takes care of business. Back-to-back 6-3 putouts for the first 2 outs of this 7th inning.
O'Farrell's an electric, athletic stud at shortstop. I mean, he's one of the best players in the country, offensively and defensively. No big deal. He'll come right back and make plays.
Green to this point sandwiched a single in that 3rd inning in between a flyout and a strikeout. His other 2 at bats tonight. Well, as daylight gives way to darkness and the stadium lights become prevalent here in Charlottesville, Virginia, fans still looking at a 7-0 score, or at least nothing on the Virginia side of things offensively, despite 10 hits for UVA. And you glare up at that 6-run 3rd inning, the difference maker for the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. 6 in the 3rd, 1 in the 6th. 7 runs on 8 hits. That 3rd inning, the difference maker. Center field on the buttons, but right in the footsteps with his career high in strikeouts. And well, that 6 in the 3rd still stands out as the moment of the ballgame.
The script has gone perfectly for the Jackets so far, but I have to give Evan Blanco credit. After the 1 inning where 2 ground balls beat the shift, they were softly hit, and then Georgia Tech executed brilliantly on offense. Other than that, he really settled down and threw very well.
He did. Provided that length for Virginia. It's just a matter for UVA of the offense finding a way to come to life here in the latter frames. How good has Vinatieri been? Well, just now set to cross over 80 pitches, and in no single frame has he thrown more than 16.
That's outstanding. You always try to have that goal of 15, 16 an inning or less. And that's the old school complete game. 135 used to be the complete game standard. You don't see that anymore.
Those kind of innings will put you in position. Speaking of positioning, perfect placement defensively for Georgia Tech, and that means an out recorded as Becker is taken care of. Well, how efficient has he been 1 inning to the next? That third inning, 16, the high water mark.
Well, we talk about it. Look at 15, 13, 9, 11, 14, 5, 15 or below, 1 inning at 16. That is outstanding.
Here's Griff O'Farrell. Think about the strikeout numbers tonight, 8 of them. O'Farrell the first to be struck out. And Griff O'Farrell came in statistically as the toughest batter in the ACC to strike out. Guy who leads the team with 19 multi-hit efforts, had a single in his last at bat in the 5th, and is looking for another here, trying to get something going for Virginia. He's so often the guy to jump start it.
And what pitch did he strike out on? A palm ball. That palm ball's come up huge tonight for Vinatieri.
Finds himself even in the count, 2-2 here. Again, a couple of strikeouts away from the career high. And O'Farrell, who's going to battle you with 2 strikes continuously, fouls this off.
Be interesting to see what O'Farrell's, what his approach is right here. I mean, you have to be thinking backside and respect that changeup. We'll see what the pitching coach calls from the tech. Fastball.
And O'Farrell fights off another.
So that tells me as a pitching coach, he's probably sitting off speed or sitting backside, trying to stay on the baseball, fouls it to the backside. So if you throw a change, you probably do him a favor here.
Well, there it is. Puts it in play. It's dribbled up the first base line. Hits O'Farrell. And the out is going to be recorded as they're going to say O'Farrell was on the fair side of the baseline out of the runner's lane.
Yep, this is the crazy rule. You're not in the 40-foot
lane. And in the case of that one being hugged so tight to that first base line, he immediately motioned that O'Farrell was on the fair side of that first base line and out of the running lane. So a second out recorded. And it leaves it up to Bobby Whalen.
I'm just telling you, as a lifer baseball man, a lot of people in the game at a high level from the big leagues down do not like that rule.
Well, I say it again, it's that age-old conversation we have every time this play transpires.
And it's dangerous if you're running in foul territory and then have to kind of sidestep to tag the base. It's just a weird rule. It really is.
Well, it ends up a bases empty, 2-down scenario, and it puts Vinatieri that much closer to working through 7. 86 and fouled off. It continues to be the trend. Virginia having out-hit Georgia Tech 10-8, but scoreless thanks to the work of Vinatieri tonight.
My college teammate made a big call just like that in the World Series. I'm not sure which World Series. Sam Holbrook's my college teammate, to be a Hall of Fame umpire. Called Game 7 of the Cubs-Indian series behind the plate. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He made that same call in another World Series.
This works on through into center field. 2-out knock for Whalen on what is only the second full count situation that the guy atop the hill for Georgia Tech has been in tonight. That's how good Vinatieri has been. He'll have to throw a few more pitches at least here.
Well, it's that 3-ball count and great approach through the middle of the field. 2 strikes. But getting back to that call was made in the World Series, Houston Astros versus the Nationals. If you remember, it stopped the game. Dave Martinez was thrown out. There was all kinds of, the game was stopped for like 20 minutes. They were doing replays left and right. It was a huge, huge call in that series. And it was the exact same call that just happened. The runner was just barely inside the line, just barely inside, and Sam called him out, which by rule is the right call.
It is. The throwing lane must be provided for the fielders. That is certainly how it shakes out. Now we're going to have the entire umpiring crew gather up together in the midst of the Anderson AB. Well, it is a 1-0 count on Anderson. Georgia Tech seemed to want to check it. They were checking to see if perhaps Anderson had just nicked it with the bat, fouled it off.
Yeah,
he did
foul
not,
tip.
so it's 1-0. And that look gives you some clarity. And they are still talking about it. And now Coach O'Connor comes out just to confirm he's on the same page with our home plate umpire.
The Georgia Tech dugout thought they heard a little ping, a little clip with the bat, some sound before the ball got in Lackey's glove, and they wanted to check on it, which, you know, the umpires got together, got it right. Of 7 shutout innings against one of the top offenses in the entire nation.
Nobody with more hits in the country than this group, the Virginia Cavaliers. Top 5 in most every offensive category that's tracked. And tonight, he has held them off the scoreboard through 6 2/3.
Now, that being said, the Cavs can put up a 7 spot quickly if the Jackets, you know, they get some base runners, some walks, let them back in this thing.
That's lined just by the lunge of the shift and into the grasp of the right fielder. Mid on the corners with 2 down. 2 out noise for Virginia. You talk about this being one of the best offenses. This is also one of the best 2 out hitting teams, 2 strike hitting teams you're ever going to run across because they make it their MO.
It's a staple in their program. And this is a great job of staying on the baseball, down in the strike zone. The barrel stays through the zone. Ball's absolutely smoked, by the way, into the corner.
9th Virginia first pitch strike from Finateri on the night, and he is responsible. We can't indicate that as his final line just yet. He is responsible for the runners on the corners as King now takes over.
Yeah, King is one of their top relievers, did an outstanding job for them last year. Throws a fastball, slider, has a lot of late movement. On everything. As this ball moves away from Lackey.
Going to work Anderson down to second base, 2 in scoring position as Virginia looks to get on the board in the 7th.
And his nickname is the Doctor, as he is already in med school. He's going to med school. He will be a doctor. The Doctor. King.
Working to Ford, and this is his 17th appearance on the year. Count 2-1. Henry Ford's prime spot in the ball game in his return to the lineup as a single in the first, and that's going to trickle away but not far enough from Lackey. Ford was out of the lineup for the first time in his collegiate career in the midweek. He came right back with a single in the first, but he's flown out and struck out since. This is the first time he's been in this kind of spot. 2 in scoring position.
And here's that 3-ball count we talk about. 50-50 chance.
And a hitter's count for Ford
to get on base.
Kind of golfed that down behind the plate. 3-2.
King throwing Ford a box of breaking balls so far in this at bat. Just spinning the breaking ball up there, spinning the breaking ball up there to the young freshman. That's what a lot of people do. They'll throw off speed, like I told you, the freshmen, make them make the adjustment.
Ford drawing the walk, his 23rd free pass of the year. 57 hits, the most of any freshman in the country. Here instead, he's patient and loads him up for UVA.
It's a great at bat, passing the baton to the next hitter, just going down the line. Cavaliers are 1 swing away from getting back in this baseball game.
The statistical leader, Didowick, at the plate now. Would you believe that's the first free pass tonight that Virginia has earned?
Finateri did an unbelievable job of filling it up, pounding the strike zone, and making the Cavs earn everything.
Struck out 8. 2 off of his career mark. Walked no one, did Finateri, but he's responsible for a couple of the runners still out there in this bases loaded scenario.
Dangerous hitter at the plate right here. Lots of power.
Didowick, who is 0 for 3. But on the squad is the home run leader, and here's where he sits near the top of the ACC.
Oh, he's a premier guy. He's really elevated his game in 2024. This is a big situation.
grounded foul. .333 hitter in the bases loaded scenario in which he finds himself now. Up from his .292 average overall, but those 15 home runs accompanied by 50 RBIs on the season. Into the bat, maybe in no man's land. Everybody's safe in Virginia. Finally on the board in the bottom of the 7th inning as Diduik had a lot of hard hit balls this year. This one of the softer ones, but it gets the job done to put the Hoos on the board.
So we always talk about exit speed off the barrel. That was exit speed off the barrel at 49 miles an hour. Perfectly placed. A little pitching wedge, little chip shot onto the green right there in no man's land, like you said, partner.
Well, all baseball adage, what? It's not how hard you hit them. Placement is everything here. That is a hit. It is the 13th of the ball game for Virginia. Bases remain loaded. Here's Jake Ferentz.
We always talk about this. Put the ball in play. Put the ball in play.
Ferentz does. Handled on the left side of the infield. Required an adjustment. Everybody's safe. It's a 7-2 game now. Boy, a couple of uncharacteristic plays, one on each side from the left side of the Virginia run. And the bases remain loaded for Anthony Stephan, who singled his last time up in the 6th. Stephan, a guy who's a .500 hitter in this scenario, in the bases loaded scenario. And a guy who has driven home 16 on the season.
Tough guy to strike out right here. He's going to put the ball in play again right here, no doubt.
Does so. Middle infield. Ferentz gets down to second fairly quickly. The play will be at first, and they get Stephan by a step off the right side of that Georgia Tech infield to limit the damage to 2 runs. But Virginia finally on the board in the bottom of the 7th. You head to the 8th. That's one of those innings, as you look back at it, Coach, who's glad, as you said, to have the starter out of the game and have something up on the scoreboard, but it's one of those moments where fans looking at it going, maybe there could have been a whole lot more there.
Could have been a whole lot more for sure.
And Georgia Tech's going to come right back at you. In this case, it's Kearse who singles into center field, a leadoff base runner for the Jackets.
I was going to say, you were talking about the game, and so far, Vinatieri, just remarkable pitching performance. A high in pitches thrown, 99. Basically, I know those runs are charged to him, but when he came out of the game, there were zeros on the board. So that's just an outstanding job.
Yeah, his final line now, the 2 runs, only one of them earned. The 8 punch outs, faced 30 batters, gave up just the 1 extra base hit, and threw 99 pitches, 73 of them in the strike zone.
Wow.
Along the way. That's what kind of night it was for Vinatieri. When you talk about tone setters, he's been that. Now, you have to remember, defense has been strong for Georgia Tech. The game stayed scoreless behind Vinatieri as long as it did, partly because of the work of Burris, who you'll remember cut down a run at the plate earlier in the game. And then you think about the Georgia Tech offense in all facets tonight. It has been the Jackets. And with a 7-2 lead, Cheros fouls this off.
You talk about Vinatieri and how many strikes. That's 74% strikes. 74% strikes. The standard is about 63%. The standard. Okay, you look at a big leaguer that throws in the high 60s, 66, 67. That's elite. 74 is off the charts.
The reason he was so successful tonight and why he ended up with the 8 strikeouts. Cheros fouls it off one more time. 94 on this delivery from Cullen McKay. You know, McKay, go back and look at his inning. For a Georgia Tech team that's been putting something together, it seems almost every inning, even if 6 out of the 7 runs came in the 3rd. He provided just the second 1-2-3 frame last time around. Now he's going to work with a runner here, but he did come in and restore some order to allow Virginia to put a couple on the board. One more check on Kearse. Kearse just the 1 bag swiped on the season to this point. and set to take his lead for the Jackets one more time. Scalded and by the third baseman into the left field corner. Kearse on the move. He's going to be waved around from third and will score easily to make it 8-2 Georgia Tech. As Jaros delivers another, the freshman. So much talk about freshmen in this game. Here's Georgia Tech's out of the 8th hole doing the damage.
Well, Georgia Tech has 4 freshmen in the lineup today.
Yes.
4. Okay, this ball was scalded down the line. 98 miles per hour off the barrel. And when the ball gets to the wall, you have an opportunity with an athlete on the bases like Kearse to score from first base. If you cut it off before it hits the wall, then probably he's at third right now. But that ball was hit so hard, it just got to the wall too quickly.
Lackey now with the corner infielders in for UVA. Takes a look at the first pitch, a 93-mile-an-hour delivery from McKay.
Big for the Jackets right there. You know, Cavaliers put 2. Now the Jackets come back and get at least 1. You want to try to keep that lead at 7 if possible, if you're in that Jacket dugout. And then the Hoos, on the other hand, got to keep the Jackets down and give their offense a chance.
Well, a Georgia Tech team having tasted victory in each of their last 2 ACC series. Liking the feel right now as they carry a sizable lead into the latter frames and look to build on it. Lackey will do so. Around third. With the 9th run of the game for Georgia Tech is Jaros. And how about Lackey? A lot of focus on, was he going to try to put one down? What would he do? Well, he simply sends one out there and tacks onto the lead.
TTM through the middle of the field. That's where the RBIs are. We always talk about in the game, that's where the steaks live. You want to go out for a steak dinner? RBIs, ribeyes, get it through the middle of the field.
Lackey, his 5th on the season, to your point. And now Trey Younger.
And more importantly, it flips the lineup over again for the Jackets.
To where Younger already has a multi-hit night and has raised his average to 382 on the season. Ben's out of the way of this one.
This is what we talked about, partner. We do not want to be matching runs here at this point if you're in the Cavalier dugout. They score 2, they scratch back, they feel like, okay, now we're getting back into this, and then the Jackets come back and score 2, and it's not what you want to do right here if you're a Virginia Cavalier baseball player in that dugout.
Well, a reminder that coming up on 1 down, McKay to work to Burris. If you're wondering about Burris's night thus far, single in the 3rd, a walk in the 4th, and he put the ball in play, on which the error was assessed on the throw of O'Farrell. That was back in the 6th. He'll dance out of the way here. 95 this delivery from McKay. Tell of a couple of innings for McKay out of the Virginia pen to this point.
It's a real arm with real stuff. Just has to get it in the strike zone a little more consistently, get ahead of the hitters. I mean, just like Vinatieri, he was ahead on 0-0, ahead, always putting the Cavaliers on their heels, being ahead in the count. It's the key to pitching.
3-0. Well, you keep a pretty close eye on what it means to be in the zone.
Absolutely.
He certainly was tonight.
Owning the zone is the key to winning baseball games. As an individual pitcher or a defense or an offense, if you control the zone on the offensive side and the defensive side, you've got a shot. If you don't, probably not going to win a baseball game.
First base dugout very strong in that category tonight, and a couple of runners aboard for Georgia Tech once again in what is already a 2-run 8th. And Coach O'Connor up out of that third base dugout marks. But to go a couple of calendar years without experiencing a midweek loss speaks volumes to how Virginia has taken care of its business in recent history.
I think that's all about preparation. That's a great coaching staff from the top down. Coach Oak really getting his players prepared for every single game and proving the importance of every single win. So that's just an amazing preparation scenario by that coaching staff.
Well, and it came in Norfolk at a minor league ballpark against an Old Dominion team that has been a thorn in a lot of teams' sides in recent years. One of the premier programs out of that non-power league discussion that you often talk about. And fortunately for Virginia, well, it was a midweek that they had 2 games. They came right back here on Wednesday night and picked up the win against another of those teams, the A-10 champs, George Mason.
Well, Chris Finwood is a VMI graduate, outstanding baseball man, and then he hired the head coach from VMI, Jonathan Hadra. And so they have 2 head coaches running the show down there. They do a great job at Old Dominion.
You got to remember, that's a team that was technically the host of a regional that was played in Columbia, South Carolina, that Virginia ended up winning when those 2 teams went head-to-head, and that was the last trip to Omaha before this past season, the 2021 trip to Omaha for Virginia, one of the many head-to-head matchups between Virginia and Old Dominion in recent history. Well, here is Georgia Tech now having loaded the bases up with Benavides only 1 out on the board, needing a couple to keep it a 7-run game as the Jackets look for their largest lead of the night. Don't look now, but the cleanup guys at the plate.
Right, and we talked about the walks being an issue. So Georgia Tech knows that. They're going to be patient. They're going to make the left-hander throw it in the strike zone.
Jones, 300-plus hitter. Just 167 on the year with bases loaded, looking to capitalize in this scenario. As again, inserted into this 4th spot in the order where he already has walked and scored a run and singled tonight. This is where Georgia Tech looks to sling the door wide open and perhaps put the finishing touches on what would be an impressive Game 1 win on the road. This is the chance to really create that final separation for Georgia Tech if they capitalize here.
Jones has more walks than strikeouts. I mean, he's a very disciplined hitter at the plate. He makes it tough on the pitcher, for sure.
26-21, the split in that category. This is hit into left. The only question about this, was it going to be fair enough for everybody to be put in motion? And Cam Jones has just provided the grand slam that may very well be the exclamation point in Game 1.
That ball was way in. I cannot wait to see the replay. And he kept it fair. It stayed straight. He stayed inside the baseball, which means he attacked the inner part of that baseball, did not hook it at all. That ball was way out of here. Watch how far in this is. Brought his hands in right here. Boom, look at that. Kept it fair, and it was a no-doubter. Deep into the night. Grand slam.
Yeah, Cam Jones lands it in the bleachers, and just his 3rd home run of the season of the grand slam variety, making it a 13-2 Georgia Tech advantage. The 2nd 6th spot of the ball game now for the Yellow Jackets. 6 in the 3rd, 6 again here in the 8th with that single run back in the 6th inning, sandwiched in between.
And the 2nd grand slam in consecutive weekends by the Yellow Jackets,
as they look to make a 3rd straight weekend, a successful one in the ACC. Georgia Tech coming to life when it matters in the midst of the ACC schedule. Shuffled to the bag, underhand from Becker, 2 away, and doing it against the team that came in with all the offensive headlines. Yet tonight, Jackets have held Virginia to 2 runs and posted 13 runs on 12 hits in the contest.
Tack on runs, they're huge. Think about it. Virginia got back in the game a little bit with a 2 spot. you saw some hope and some life. And then here comes the Jackets with the 6th spot to answer.
Well, as impressive the way they've done this, Coach, when you think about that was just the 3rd extra base hit of the night for Georgia Tech. 13 runs are on the board, 2 doubles and a grand slam. The only extra
91-94 4-seamer. There was a sinker at 90-93 and a cutter and a slider. So you're going to see a fastball slider mix. Tries to ride the fastball up and sink the fastball down. The key here, though, is he just charges it and pounds the strike zone. 6 walks in almost 30 innings. That's really good.
Thanks to the grand slam, with the new ruling now in effect in ACC play, if Georgia Tech can secure 3 outs before Virginia plates a couple of runs, you're able to save maybe 1 or 2 of the bullpen pieces and certainly send a strong message related to the series as a whole by shutting things down early here in game 1. Boy, what we have seen from Georgia Tech tonight, nothing short of impressive, and standing in the way of the finishing touches being placed on it. Hansen, Becker, and O'Farrell.
Well, there's an urgency with this run rule, you know, the 10 after 7 rule. You know, to get the game done, you want to save those arms in a 3-game set. So Coach Hall's elected to throw, you know, one of his premier strike throwers. He leads the staff in ERA as well, and get this game over with. If you're in that Cavalier dugout, you want to extend it, you want to send a message, and you know, with the Who's offense, no leads out of reach.
Well, it begins just like this. Hansen working his way aboard. Keeping an eye on what's going on around the country. Top 5 matchup. Tennessee 3, Kentucky 2, bottom half of the 7th inning. What do you think about all the marquee matchups that are going on around the country tonight? And what surprises like this give you? 10th ranked team in the country, but it's a tough weekend in the ACC no matter who the opponent is. It's a tough weekend in the SEC and the Big 12. In the power leagues, dominating the top 25 right now, dominating the national headlines right now. There is no weekend off, and what we're seeing here tonight is a reminder of that.
It's college baseball. Anything can happen. I mean, over the long haul, the teams that are playing the best, I've talked about, you know, owning the zone, stuff like that, you know, they usually pan out. But in a series, in baseball, 3 days, 1 day, that's why you see those midweek upsets all the time with mid-majors and stuff like that. Anything can happen.
3-0 count to Eric Becker as Virginia looks for base runners. Trying to extend things. Job number 1 for the Who's right now, to extend it here in the bottom of the 8th. Boy, look at some of the key categories between these two teams tonight. Just very impressive. Have it happen. And Georgia Tech still needing 3 outs before Virginia plates a couple if they're to make sure the game is not extended. Here's Griff O'Farrell. Now all of a sudden the top of the Virginia order will have their say. And he fouls this off first base side. Some of the contrasting numbers tonight really catch your attention, though. 18 base runners for Georgia Tech. 12 of them coming into the inning for Virginia. That number closing up a little bit. UVA is still out hit Georgia Tech 13-12. Despite that's what's amazing about the score being so the other way. But here are the numbers that tell you the reason why. Georgia Tech 6 of 10 with runners in scoring position tonight. 2 for 2 with the bases loaded, including what you saw happen with the bases loaded a moment ago, the grand slam. It has been a night where Georgia Tech has capitalized on each of the opportunities in front of them.
Outstanding execution on the offensive side, and then Vinatieri on the defensive side.
Here's O'Farrell. Center fielder Burris camps under it and waits on it. And there's that first out. The runners Hansen and Becker will have to hold with 1 away.
Let's not forget about Burris's throw to keep Virginia off the scoreboard earlier in the game. A real tone setter right there with 2 outs to end an inning. It's, you know, you always send a guy, usually, no matter what, because you make the outfielder execute, and he did. So, you know, 100% of the time you're sending him in that same situation. Burris just made an incredible play.
Yeah, to the tune of an 8-2 put out.
Yes.
No assistance needed from the Georgia Tech freshman. Whalen, a multi-hit effort. He's 2 for 4. And facing a 1-1 count. Of course, both of those hits singles. Grounds this to short. Might do it. There's the turn. Whalen plenty of speed, but the throw beats him by a step. And Georgia Tech, on the strength of a 6-run third and another 6th spot in the 8th,